Hello guys, you are welcome to another day of our summer camp program. And so far during our summer camp program, we have been able to achieve a lots of really great things. We have built a registration form, which was the last project we completed, and we're also able to build a digital agency web page. And today we are going to go just a little bit further by not only just building, by showing you a little bit of trick on how to build things even faster. Now there's a technology called Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a technology used to add CSS. Now, CSS sometimes can be very tasking in terms of picking out elements, writing them down. And one of the things I noticed in terms of teaching CSS is that whenever it comes to styling, people generally feel a bit down because it can be very tasking. It needs you to pay attention to a lot of structure, a lot of tags, but guess what? There is something referred to as a SaaS, software as a service, that helps us add predefined CSS styles to our project. In fact, it not only helps us add those styles, it does that by also giving us the HTML structure as well. So all we need to do is go through the documentations, look at the components you want to add, and we'll go straight to adding them in our HTML. But that is not before we get started with our project. And just like we have been doing before now, it's common practice to always create a folder for your projects. So I'm just going to go right into creating my folder. Great. Now I'll be creating a folder, new folder, and I'm going to call this folder Bootstrap. Great. And in the same way, I'm going to try to open this folder in Visual Studio Code. And wait a moment. There we have it. Now, of course, I trust the author. Now our folder is properly created. We can go further with writing our codes now. And the first bit of file I want to create is my HTML file. So here's how I'll do it. I'll click on the empty space, I'll select file, and I'm going to call this file index.html. And wait, it's loading. It's created, I just want to load. Great. Now, I have successfully created my HTML file. So I'll need to generate that boilerplate code. Remember what we said about the base code? It gives us a lot of meaning. And after doing that, just so I don't forget, I always like taking care of the title. I'm just going to call this Bootstrap project. And just so we'll see if our desired change has taken effect, let me load this up on live server. Load in. Great. As you can see, our title has taken effect, and you can see it labeled here Bootstrap page. Okay, just a second. Okay. Great. Second. All right. Now, we have been able to successfully add that Bootstrap page, the title as Bootstrap project. It's now time for us to go into adding what we refer to as a CDN. CDN is short for Content Delivery Network. It's a link that helps us deliver content. Now, content can be anything, but in this case, our content is our CSS file. Our content is our CSS file. But to do that, we have to go to the Bootstrap page, the Bootstrap web page, and that should be get Bootstrap. Yes, get bootstrap.com. I just click enter. Great. Great. Now I have clicked enter and I'm on the home page for Bootstrap. Now, the next thing is for us to take a look at the documentation, and this is Bootstrap version 5.3. Yes, I'm correct. This is Bootstrap version 5.3, which means there's been a bit of upgrade over the time. Now, before now, the only way of using Bootstrap in your project would be strictly by the CDN link. Remember I said CDN is short for Content Delivery Network. But right about now, with the advent of Bootstrap 4, we started having npm installations of Bootstrap. npm installations, npm stands for Node Package Manager, which is some sort of play store for holding all JavaScript packages. Now, I just mentioned JavaScript, so I think it's best I just tell you what JavaScript might mean or might be doing for us in our project. Now, JavaScript is an actual programming language that helps us do two things. That helps us add interactivity and also helps us add dynamism to our projects. I'll take that again. JavaScript is a programming language that helps us add interactivity and dynamism to our projects. Now, the real question is, how do we add Bootstrap to our project, seeing that Bootstrap also has JavaScript? So the next step would be for us to click on Docs. And yes, you do not need to register, you do not need to log in. All you need to do is go to the link that says getbootstrap.com and click on Docs. Great. Now, Docs is short for documentations, which means what you need to do to be able to create a Bootstrap project. Now, of course, we'll be adding the CDN link. That's the very first thing we need to do. We'll be adding the CDN link. But for understanding purposes, you could also read the documentations. Let's just demo using the Quick Start documentation. Now, the Quick Start guide says, get started by including Bootstrap production-ready CSS and JavaScript via CDN without the need for any build steps. See it in practice with Bootstrap. And it also goes further to tell us our steps. First, it says create a new index.html file, which we have already done, as you can see. And now, after creating the index.html file, it also says we should include the Bootstrap CSS and JS, and JS stands for JavaScript. So we need to include the Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript. I would move on to that and I'll show you how to do that. And of course, once we do that, we move on to the next steps, looking at the components. Now, the components are various parts of our website that we want to build out using Bootstrap. So I'm just going to pause here and see if you have any questions. Please feel free to leave your questions down in the comment section, and we'll do well to attend to your questions. So just a moment, just a breather, so we can catch our breath and join back. All right. Now, back to our next step. As you can see, the documentations for Bootstrap clearly details all the steps. In case you get lost or maybe you forget any of the steps in trying to recreate this, you can easily click on Docs and go through the quick start guide on the documentations. But next, we are going to be adding the CDN link. And to do that, on the extreme right hand side of the page, we could also see links to various parts of our current page. And I'll be selecting the CDN links. Interesting. Now, as you can see, we have various CDN links, and we need to add them to our page. We need to add those CDN links to our page. As you can, hold on, let me click on that, I think. Great. Now, as you can see, this is the CDN link, and we need to add them to our page. But, hold on, but there's another way. Hold on a second. Just a second. Hold on a second. Just a second, please. There is a different way of adding it with the tags entirely. So it's somewhere here. Great. There we have it. Now, if you click on downloads and you scroll down, you see an extensive list of all the CDN links that you need for this project. Now, remember, at the earlier phase, I mentioned that Bootstrap also includes JavaScript. So we need to make sure that we add all the supports, all the CDN links, that all the various CDN links that Bootstrap currently supports. Now, first, I'll copy this, and this is not all. I'll copy this, and as you could guess, I would have to go into the head of my HTML. Now remember, in our previous sessions, I mentioned towards that whatever you need to put in the head of your HTML, you have to be very careful, because just the same way the human head functions, the HTML head functions like that. So whatever goes wrong with the human head, the body actually suffers. Same way, whatever goes wrong in the HTML, in the head tag of the HTML, the body of the HTML also suffers. So carefully replace this anywhere in the head of your HTML actually is fine. And next, we need to copy another CDN link. If you scroll down, there's another link called the proper. Yeah, let's scroll down, there's a proper. Hold on. There's the proper CDN link. Okay. Oh, they're both together now. So proper has been added to this. So I have been able to copy the Bootstrap CDN link as well as the proper CDN link. Now, one other thing I need to copy is this, and I'll place it right here. Gives me the CDN link to JavaScript as well. Now that helps us so that when we have functionalities like slide, and I'll show you how to add sliders, when we have functionalities like sliding either from left or to right. Now remember I said as well that JavaScript helps us to do things at dynamism and functionality. Now without adding the Bootstrap JavaScript CDN link, functionalities such as sliding and animations might quickly begin to malfunction. So we have to be careful. First, go to getbootstrap.com. Secondly, you click on documentations. Thirdly, you go through the quick start guide if you are confused about anything. Fourth, you click on downloads and you copy the CDL links you can see both for JavaScript and proper, and you paste them in the head of your HTML. Now, again, I'll give us a few seconds to try to recreate these steps. Okay, now I'm sure we must have been able to at least add the CDN links for proper and JavaScript as well as Bootstrap. So now if you have any challenges adding this or getting to the website getbootstrap.com, please feel free to leave your challenges down in the comment section below, and we will do well to get back to you with solutions. Now, typically, the very first part of most websites is the navigation. It's a very important part of a website that helps us understand what the entire website structure is about, where you get to see the home, about, contact, typically, contact, and sometimes dashboard pages. Now, for us to be able to create a navigation bar, although we have created a navigation bar by writing HTML and CSS by ourselves, interestingly, with Bootstrap, all we need to do is pick a design and we will definitely be getting the navigation bar we so desire. But we need to be careful. Some of these rules actually change, so you need to read the rules as they appear currently on your screen before attempting to change anything. But in order for us to get a navigation bar or any other component we so desire, remember I said components are different parts that make up your website. So all you need to do is scroll down. There's a particular portion here that says components. You can see it says components. So all you need to do is select components and you'll see lists of different components that you can add to your project. Now, as you can see, under the components, we have a lot of things. You can see we have navigation bars, we have scroll speed, we have progress, we have popovers, we have placeholders, we have paginations, we have different things. But we won't be needing the nav bar because we said we wanted to create a nav bar. Alternatively, you could also use navs and tabs, because they are just different designs from the nav bar, as you can see. So let's use the nav bar. Again, you feel free to go through the documentations in order to see how it works, but interestingly, it's very easy. All you need to do is to copy the class, copy the code. As you can see, the structure has been well laid out. You copy the code, you paste it into your HTML, and try to view your results. Now, once you're satisfied with your results, you can move on to creating the next component. So first, we would be adding our very first, or alternatively, you can also actually look at the how it works section. And it says, here's what you need to know before getting started with the navbar. First, it says navbar requires a wrapping .navbar, which you would find already added to the navbar, to the nav element already. So the .navbar actually means the class navbar. Now, it says we should add the navbar class as well, and you can also add other extensions by just separating them with spaces. You've got the navbar class, you have the navbar.expand, which you can add on to the navbar class. So all these you see here are referred to as add-ons. You can add them to get different effects. And you can also change the color scheme. Now, it might interest you to note that there is something called responsiveness. Responsiveness is the way and manner your web page responds to changes in screen size and screen resolution, which means not all websites appear the same way on different devices. That makes sense actually, because you can't view this website looking like this on a mobile phone. And you would agree with me that mobile phones are one of the most easy devices that people use to surf the internet. So it makes a whole lot of sense to add responsiveness to our projects. Now, this part of the code details about responsiveness. You can see the different screen sizes: SM, MD, large, extra large, and extra large, all giving us a semblance of different screen sizes. Now, the next, it says navbars and their contents are fluid by default. Change the container to limit the horizon width in different ways. Of course, it's just telling us to change the container of the navs. We would always do that. And it also talks about flex, about spacing and utility. To further go deeper into this, you can take a look at the how it works section of this page. But for the sake of time, and because we only have a few minutes to do this, we are going to go straight into copying our code. As you can see, it's already well structured. And the image you see right above is our expected result. So if we've done everything we're supposed to do carefully, all we need to do is copy this code and we expect to see this result. Now let's go back to our HTML and carefully place it here. See, it's a lot of code. Codes that ordinarily we should have written. But thanks to Bootstrap, we do not have to write this all by ourselves. Now let's take a look at what we have. Great! Notice how the result we have on our screen seems to match the exact same result that we expect. Now we can go ahead to begin to make changes. But first, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to actually try to copy that and then paste it in your Visual Studio Code, and let's see if you have the same result. Again, if you've got any challenges when you try to paste all of this, feel free to leave your comments down in the comment section below, and we will do well to attend to all your questions. Okay, now I'm sure we must have tried or made very good attempts at replicating this. Now, if you still have problems, feel free to leave your issues down in the comment section below, and then we can move on to understanding the structure and making changes as we so desire. But first, let's break down the structure. Interestingly, this usually is a logo and should be replaced by an image, right? So we need to make an adjustment to the structure. In the same way, we don't want a drop down. So we also need to change this, and also I'm seeing a faint text here called disable. After this, we also need to change the search button. This is a form. We do not want that. All we want is a logo and links. So now let's make that change. But first, let's take a look at the structure. As you can see here, I have the text saying nav bar. But then I can make adjustments to this by simply replacing the text with an image. But just to be sure, we need to also go scroll to the bottom and we'll see different changes we can make to our nav components. So first, I'll take out the disabled. Now to take it out, here's it. Let me take this out. Delete it. Let's see if that has taken effect. Great. The text disabled no longer shows up. I can also take out drop down as well as the form. I'll take out the form and I can take out drop down as well. And let's take a look. Let me be sure I got all of drop down. Yes, there we go. Got all of it. There we go. Now we can add a bit more links, a bit more links to our navigation bar simply by copying and pasting some of this. Copy this, place them here, place them here, and one more, place them here. And I will change this from link to about services, and this should say gallery, and this finally should say contact. Let's see if the changes we've made so far are taking effect. Interesting, it's beginning to take shape. But then let's go down to our bootstrap again, and there's a bit more information we can find at the bottom of the page. Now let's take a look at adding images to our page. You can see right in the nav we have this piece of code, this container. If you pay close attention to the container, you'd see that right inside of the container we have anchor tags and we have an image tag inside. Now that's how we find out what Bootstrap wants us to do to be able to add images. Now I'm going to take this, copy this, and I am going to place it right here. Where do we have that anchor tag? Yeah. There you go, here. Instead of this, I will place it here. Of course, we'll be right back to change the source, but let's take a look. We should get the broken image icon. Exactly. And we do have a broken image icon, and as you can understand, that's because we have not added an image. So to add an image, Again, we need to create a new folder and place that image right inside of that folder that we have just created. Hold on, let's do that. And I have a folder from our form, and here we go. I'm just going to copy this image. I'm just going to copy the image, and this is the folder we currently have open in Visual Studio Code. As you can see, I have index here, and I'm going to create another folder right inside, and this folder should hold all my images. Great. Now right inside of this folder I will be placing my image, lock star. Perfect. Now back to our code. This means we also have to make an adjustment to the source. Now the source should be from the images folder and lockstar.png. Of course, we would need to make adjustment to the images. It's definitely going to be a little too big or too small. As you can see, it's a bit small, and we would need to make the image is a lot larger. But taking a look at our navigation bar, it is already beginning to take shape. Interesting, isn't it? Great. Now I'm sure we would be able to follow up and make this navigation bar very much interesting to build. So please, I want us to try this out, and again we have to try to add your navigation links just the same way I have. And if you have any difficulties, please feel free to leave your questions down in the comment section below, and we would do well to get back to your questions. Okay guys, I'm sure we were able to try to replicate this in the few minutes we have afforded to us. But we have run out of time now, but not to worry. A pre-recorded video of the step-by-step process of building out this entire web page using Bootstrap will be made available on our channel later today. So all we need to do is click on the subscribe button and also click on the notification on that little notification bell icon, so that when we drop a video you would be the first to know. So thank you guys for joining the live session once again today, and we'll hope to see you guys tomorrow as well. Okay, Bye for now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.